Welcome to part 2 of Boundaries, talking with my dear friend Renee. Peacekeeper, conflict avoider, aggressor. Are these all things that you've heard before? You've probably had trouble or interaction with them in your life or in your relationships with others. Well, let's continue the conversation today. More on boundaries.
Boundaries. Why do we fear boundaries? Especially when your gut is telling you to walk away, cut this off, say your piece, whatever, but we're terrified. We're terrified for good reasons. Because if this is a long-standing, let me repeat this. If your issue with having boundaries stems from your childhood, and even if this is a newer relationship that was not formed in your childhood, you may still fear having boundaries because you've been groomed not to have them. Yes. You fear, I can only speak for myself, you fear the explosion.
Yes.
The huge outrage and explosion. And you fear the retaliation. And that could come in all kinds of forms, from physical violence to them speaking poorly of you, telling their version of the story and making you look like a horrible person. So you fear the isolation, the rejection, the retaliation, the explosion. You fear all those things. And I know that you and I've been through both of them. We're still here. We're still here.
We're still here.
We're still here. So yeah, like if your knees are quaking about having to exercise some boundaries with someone, have some compassion for yourself. You learned this behavior likely at a very young age when it was in your best interest, and your little brain thought, well, survival.
Yes, I need to survive.
If I don't fuss and fawn and comply to this, then I won't have my needs met. And of course, for a child, the needs not being met equals survival. You don't have the ability to pull that apart. So as an adult, here you are with a abusive coworker, an abusive friend, lover, spouse, sibling, someone in your family, and think of just about any relationship, and you need to speak up, but you are sick to your stomach, and what you'll usually choose to do is just slough it off. Because it's you are used to taking that that whole discomfort of wanting to speak out, feeling like you can't bear this any longer, but then just swallowing the poison to keep the peace.
Yes.
And so, there's lots of reasons why we feel terrified, but exercising boundaries, if the dysfunctional person chooses to leave, well, in the long run, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's really nice when the trash takes itself out. I mean, you can only say that from a healed perspective. But when you are enmeshed with someone else, to desire to have boundaries and not exercise them is a sign that you have been groomed to be codependent.
Yes.
So you are as codependent on them approving of you for your dignity and your worth as they are of you meeting their needs.
Yes. That's a lot.
To pull away from a codependent relationship can make you feel terrified because you don't have the tools to learn how to get your needs met in a healthy way, except through this codependency.
Well, and like you said, it's a fear unto survival.
Will
I survive?
And I know that as an adult, you can look at your own behavior of trying to appease, trying to smooth, trying to be out front, like, in the family. Oh, don't do that. Don't bring that up with this person. Like you're already out front doing damage control just to keep this person from behaving the way they can. And that's total codependency.
Yeah.
It feels terrifying to walk through it because it is to your very young self, but you're older now.
Yeah.
One of the things I've discovered, and I wished I'd known, is that just because you turn 18 or 19 and you're now considered an adult in the government's eyes, doesn't mean you don't need parenting. You
Yes.
need parenting your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And what that changes is it changes from you're born, you need very intense parenting and care.
Yes.
And that slowly tapers off the level of parenting and how much control they have over life. But you are supposed to take up that role. You need to parent yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be the one that is you and your prefrontal cortex leading the charge for your self-care and your boundaries and everything that goes with really healthy parenting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you might be scared, but you're going to have to parent yourself into a place where you speak up.
Yes, and either you're investing in yourself, this is what has rang true for me. Either I'm investing in myself and my value and my worth, which then applies to all my relationships, or I'm investing in their codependency.
Mm-hmm.
And I am ensuring that my relationship with them will not change because I'm actually investing in keeping them right where they are, which is maybe in their, you know, very young self operating from their survival mode. And so nothing will get better. Not for me, not for them, not for the relationship between myself and them. So invest in yourself or invest in the codependency, which keeps them stuck. Yeah. No. It's amazing. It's a simple term in a sense, but it's very difficult if you're operating from your young, wounded, scared self that is just trying to survive with those young tactics.
And if you're a person who's wired the way you are, where you are a loving, tender-hearted, compassionate people person, all those strengths become your weakness.
Yes.
When you refuse to have boundaries with a dysfunctional person, because what you're doing is just exactly what you said, is you're allowing them to continue on in their dysfunction. You're actually allowing it to get stronger in their lives.
Yes.
And so a lot of people who are compassionate and tender-hearted think that, oh, they're just keeping the peace.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm the peacemaker of the family. That's my role. I'm keeping the peace. And that's a good thing, right? Keeping peace is a good thing. And there's a vast difference between being a peacekeeper and a conflict avoider.
Yes.
And that's the role I played in my family.
Yes, that's me. Conflict avoider. I had it down pat. I should have been a professor, and so should you. The amount of invested years.
Yeah, if it only takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in something, then we've earned several doctorate degrees in being peacekeepers. But I remember when I had the revelation that, because that's the role I was in my family, is the peacekeeper.
Yeah.
When I realized what a peacekeeper really is nothing to do with how I was behaving. I was the chief conflict avoider in our family.
Yes.
I was the one out front smoothing the way, trying to keep certain people from having explosions or behaving the way, they often could. That is conflict avoiding. That is so dysfunctional. And it's just harmful for everyone all around. The perpetrator of the explosions and you yourself taking on the burden and the responsibility of somebody else's behavior. And you're telling the children in the family, don't talk about that issue, don't bring this up. When I realized I was doing that to the children in the family, don't talk about certain things around this person, it's like, oh my gosh, I am grooming them to pander to dysfunction. What am I doing? And it's like, you know what? If you don't like what someone says, you speak up.
Yeah.
I went from grooming the children in the family, and I caught myself, and then I was like, no, you need to speak up. You have full permission to speak up and say, I'm uncomfortable with you saying that. Yes. I don't like it when you say that to me. You can, as a child, you are allowed in this family to not put up with the same shit sandwich that I ate my entire life. Okay.
I get that.
We're not serving shit sandwiches anymore.
That's right.
In this family. So conflict avoiding is not peacekeeping. Peacekeeping is somebody who can remain calm, can see both sides of the issue, and is willing to go in and have the uncomfortable conversation and exercise the boundaries. That is a peacekeeper.
Without making judgments about the other guy.
Yes.
Letting them have their say.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we discussed before, it's often not what we've surmised it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if you are along your healing journey far enough to hear this other person out and recognize, oh my gosh, you're so messed up, you're so codependent, it is not going to be helpful to point that out.
No, it's not helpful at all.
Just they're on their path. Just hear what they have to say and say, I can hear you see that you're hurting, and I do have compassion for that. However, I am still going to stand firm with my decision to not be around this kind of behavior. When this behavior arises, or whatnot, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, for me, because as a grown woman with children, I still operated out of a very young survival protective mode. I swear I couldn't even hear. Even if we got to, and I've had relationships where I would get to the point where we'd try to be having a good conversation about what's actually happening for myself or the other individual. I wasn't even able to hear it, really, because I still was just wanting to survive. I just wanted to be okay and for them to like me and just for all this bad to go away. I was so young.
And you know what the refrain of a conflict avoider is?
What?
I just want everyone to be happy.
Yes. It's so true. Isn't that true? But really, you're not creating happiness.
Yeah, no, you're
doing the opposite.
Yeah, you're not that powerful to
magic wand.
Yes,
I'm creating happiness everywhere I go.
That's right.
Oh, when you can be honest with yourself, that you don't need to fix anybody else, that you are not responsible for anybody else, and even something done unto you is probably not about you, man, if you can get that, wow, what a different life.
Yeah. I never thought I would get here, but here I am, and man, does it feel good.